Howdy, and welcome to the Lost Rider podcast. It's an honor and privilege to address you in the capacity of an interviewer, reporter, and media member. Too many modern media outlets have forgone the integrity and responsibility required of credible information sources. What you will receive here are straightforward discussions with legislators, agency leaders, biologists, engineers, doctors, and countless other experts that have the answers to questions often circulated as kitchen table issues. The title Lost Rider may be thought of literally as well as in the metaphorical sense. While there has been the instance that I was momentarily a little turned around at night in a wilderness area, the idea of being a lost rider in life, well, that fits most folks at some time. These renderings are coming to you in the form of the 25-year-old radio program, The News from the Camp House. It still airs every Saturday morning at 6:30 a.m. Central Time on KULM 98.3 FM out of Columbus, Texas. The original intent was to relate outdoor topics to the general public. Immediately, it was found that all issues are relatable to the outdoors and that people are people. They all play a role and they all have a vested interest. It's this program's desire to answer common questions about how the world works, how it will operate in the future, and what's the holdup? So please listen, enjoy, and never hesitate to contact us with more questions and feedback. Good morning and welcome to this weekend's edition of News from the Camp House, listening post of the Texas Sportsman Association. This is Herman Brune, and this weekend's edition is also brought to us by Shaw's Bend Social Club, country club for folks who don't have a country club. All right, I'll tell you what, this week we're going to visit with a gentleman. We're going to be introduced to a gentleman who is a candidate running for the Railroad Commission. Got a bunch of elections coming up right now. The Railroad Commission has, it's one of our state agencies. They're one of the 5 state agencies that I know of that has conservation programs. And it has drawn quite a few challengers, and one of the challengers that we have with us this morning is Mr. James Matlock. James, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. How are you this morning?
Well, so far so good. I'll tell you what, where are you? Where do you live?
I live in Nacogdoches.
All right, okay.
Up here in the piney woods of East Texas.
All right. Have you run for office in the past?
My first time running, I ran for Railroad Commission in the 24 primaries against Christy Craddock, and that was my first time ever getting involved in politics.
All right. And you're in Nacogdoches. Have you held any office in Nacogdoches?
I have not. I've worked oil and gas, gone most of the time, always in the field, and, I just got tired of the lies, and I was like, you know what, it's time we have somebody with actual field experience come in and redo some things.
All right, okay, that's, all right, well, elaborate on that point.
Well, one of the big things, with solar batteries, everybody was talking about we have an energy crisis. My problem, anytime they say crisis, it ends up costing the taxpayers dearly.
Yes.
So my fight started out as a pushback against the crisis mentality. And, we flare so much natural gas. I worked with a company back 5-8 years ago, something like that, trying to get permits to put natural gas powered generators in the field.
Okay.
and connect it to the grid to, stabilize our energy usage.
Okay.
And EPC would issue a permit without a power purchase agreement. ERCOT would not buy the energy without a permit. So, sort of that bureaucratic catch-22. Issues going on, so my campaign is don't tell me that's just when I'm still seeing waste.
All right.
And that's pretty much what got me involved in the campaign in the first place.
Okay. All right, let's explain that a little bit to our listeners. Flares. Okay, flares, that's whenever you've got a bunch of produce coming up out of the ground, oil and gas, and then you've got natural gas coming up, and there's so much of it, and you're siphoning off the oil and gas, the oil, the crude, and the distillate and all that, but you've got gas coming up too, and you don't necessarily have someplace to go with it, and you flare it, you burn it off, and that has to be permitted by the Railroad Commission to do that. And what Mr. Matlock is suggesting is that you have natural gas generators that would feed the grid. Is this correct?
Correct. And, most of the flare gas, because we produce so much, especially in the Permian Basin area, West Texas, we produce so much that the pipeline infrastructure is not capable of handling the sheer volume that we send down line on a day-to-day basis.
Okay.
Bottleneck, and then we end up, having to burn off a lot of natural gas. And, there's other things that we could be doing with it, but, it seems to be we do it because that's the way it's always been done.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of my biggest pet peeves. I do not like that.
All right. Well, that's the way it works. I mean, if you're in the business and you see something that you see is wrong, it becomes a pet peeve, and then you want to fix it. All right. You made the remark. You said there's a lot of other things we could do with it. Like what?
Well, there's technology that's been developed at a Texas university.
Uh-huh.
That technology would actually allow us to process the natural gas on location, which when we do the well testing, after they drill the well, then they go in and frack it, and then they have to produce it, usually 15 to 30 days they produce, but they don't have the pipeline built to the pipeline. So that gas is typically burned off into the atmosphere, and we could actually process that. We could get the hexanes and everything that comes out of the natural gas. Those.
Go ahead.
Correct. And if we process it on site, we'll get all the things in the natural gas. And a lot of that stuff goes into your medical equipment, your pharmaceuticals, and all of that. 80% of that is imported from China. Yet we flare, burn off billions of cubic feet per day here in Texas.
All right.
And we could replace a lot of the import value and process it here in Texas.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, this has been a long going. I mean, I know for the average listener, they may have heard of flares, they may have seen flares, but they didn't. I doubt that they realize how long this has been a controversy.
Yes, I've spent 20 years in the oil and gas industry, and when I first got started in the industry, that's the way it's always been done. So that, that's the only way to do it.
Uh-huh.
And the longer I stay.
Go ahead.
So, yeah. you know, when you have people trying to get contracts to do things, and the mentality is, that's the way it's always been done. We're not, we can't endorse your product, we can't endorse your service. There's a problem.
Right. All right. The technology that you were talking about to process this stuff on site, you're suggesting that, this is done through the oil companies, and that
Yes.
okay, yes, and I'm assuming that you think this would be more profitable for them to do it that way.
It would, and it would. The owners who have the wells on their site, it would actually help them as well.
Well, of course they're going to receive a lot more royalty. Why in the hell burn it off if the landowner can make money off of it?
Exactly.
The landowner sitting there watching his money burn. All right.
That's what it amounts to.
Yes, sir. All right. I'll tell you what. Let's take a quick break and thank the folks who let us come on here every Saturday morning, and we'll be right back. Thank goodness for all the great sponsors we have here at News from the Camp House. HEB Food Stores. That's Stephen Tice at HEB. He helps me. He helps the community. He's a great man. I'm so thankful HEB loosened him up, lets him go around and sponsor a few things. HEB's got all your food needs. It's the greatest food store we got here in Columbus. Thank goodness for HEB. First State Bank. You go over to the First State Bank, they'll take care of all your loans, all your deposits, your savings, anything you need. Bunch of great hometown people over there. You got Celia Tobias, John Pollock. Everybody over there is looking out for you. Miss Barbara Barta. It's a great bunch of folks at the First State Bank is also sponsoring News from the Camp House. First State Bank takes care of all my business. Baumgart Agency, Susan Baumgart at the Baumgart Agencies, her and Germania. She told me to plug Germania. Germania is an insurance that she likes to everybody to know about. The Baumgart Agencies. Miss Susan and I are classmates, been classmates. She got me out of high school, sat right beside her, put us in alphabetical order where I could copy. And Susan Baumgart over at the Baumgart Agency, taking care of all your insurance needs. Lyco Realty, one of the original sponsors of News from the Camp House. Lyco Realty, the oldest real estate company in the county, and for the last 3 years voted the favorite realtor in the county. Lyco Realty, that's Miss Kimberly Johnson, that's Crockett's granddaughter. More kinfolks and classmates and great people from Colorado County. People from Colorado County helping people from Colorado County. That's great. Oh, thank goodness for all these wonderful people come to me want to be sponsors for News from the Camp House. Good morning and welcome to the second half of this week's News from the Camp House. We're here this morning with Mr. James Matlock. He is a candidate for the Railroad Commission. We got a bunch of elections going on. There's a lot of stuff up in the air. The Railroad Commission is one of the state agencies that has conservation programs and is, they're a big deal. They're really a big deal when you talk about conservation and you talk about the Permian Basin, you talk about the oil patch, you talk about, how do we control, all this stuff so that so we're good and clean and we do everything the way we're supposed to and everything's legal and everything's good. And Mr. Matlock what else would you like to fix? You've been in the oil patch, you said 20 years, and you looked at this and you're seeing them wasting money on the flares and figure they can fix that, and it hasn't been fixed. And are there other, do you have a pocket full of issues you'd like to run on, or what do you think?
I do, and the water issue is one of my biggest pet peeves as well. Which last cycle in 24, I ran on recycling oil and gas wastewater for farm use.
Yes, sir.
And I was honored when our state legislature picked it up as a priority this session and passed bills that allows for the use of oil and gas waste.
Mm-hmm.
But now we have all these data centers coming in,
Right.
and they use upwards 300,000 to 5 million gallons of water a day.
Right.
Our aquifers cannot handle that.
Right.
So, in the oil and gas industry, we produce an average of 588 million gallons a day in wastewater that's typically injected back into the ground.
Right.
Plus, we bring water in from Louisiana to Texas. We bring it from New Mexico into Texas, and we're running out of pore space. So recycling the water just makes sense.
Right.
But at the same time, if we can use that water, if it's good enough for farm use, we can use it for the data centers and save our aquifers for our farmers.
Absolutely. All right. What's pushback? Why is that not happening?
I'm not sure. I co-authored a resolution that has already passed the SREC, the State Republican Executive Committee, and with a very high margin. I think it was a 59-6 vote in favor of the resolution that would actually require the data centers to use oil and gas waste. It would require them to kind of follow along with the oil field mentality of digging reserve pits. And, having the water stored there on site, recirculate the water. And, I'm looking forward. I've got a couple of state reps who have said they would pick it up and try to champion it, during special session or, after everybody's sworn in 27.
Okay. All right. All right. You want me to inject a little bit of something here? I can tell you part of the problem. The general public is okay. They may not be okay with it, but they have accepted that residentially in urban areas, water goes from toilet to tap. That water gets recycled and used over and over and over again. And the general public is either non-aware of this or they just don't care because it's been happening and they don't see the ill effects. When they look at industrial water, frack water, the anti-fracking crowd made such an impact that everybody's a little bit afraid. Even if that was all false, phony stuff, and we have pointed it out time and time and time again how phony all the anti-fracking stuff was. Even that being the point, it made an impact on the public. And right now the public is a little bit nervous about recycling industrial water. They have a hard time with trusting the state, any agency, anybody with the water technology that industrial water can be recycled. And it's a matter of gaining public trust, and it's a matter of doing that job correctly. All right?
Yes, sir.
So
you're absolutely correct.
That's kind of where we sit at this. We need to let the public know that the technology is there and that we can do this. But then we got to do it right. We can't screw it up.
Well, and there needs to be testing for the water before it is put on any farmland or anything like that. You have the forever chemicals and things like that we need to keep out of our food supply.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, we can clean it up and get it clean. We just need to make sure that those in charge of recycling are not taking shortcuts to increase profit margin.
Right. Yes, that's exactly correct. And That's going to be a tough sell, but I mean it can be done. No, absolutely, but and
Yes,
time will force it.
yes.
So all right, all right, all right. Uh, and you've had your fingers in this water process technologies, being in the oil patch for a while.
Yes, sir. I've spent a lot of time at the working with the saltwater disposals, trucking on the completion side, the frack side, all of that. So, the water has always been a big part of my 20-year career in the industry.
All right. Okay, so you ran against Christy Craddock. What are you doing different this time running against Jim Wright? How are you trying to get your numbers up?
I'm getting more invites to come out, speak at different events. Next week, I'll be on the road, Waco, Killeen, San Antonio, Floresville, and then Lubbock, Andrews, and back to Canton, Texas. About 2,300 miles total next week, and still, trying to make changes that would benefit Texans.
Okay. All right. And I'm gonna point something out here too to my listeners is you don't necessarily have to be mad at the person you're running against. You just think you just want to go make a difference yourself.
Exactly, and that was my thing last year. Somebody asked me what I had against Christy. I was like, I've never met Christy. I can't speak ill of her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like a lot of the things she votes on. I don't like a lot of her votes. So let's talk about that. That's the main thing. And there's a project over here in East Texas that the company has 72 violations. They've been operating without a permit for 2 years, I think, a valid permit.
Uh-huh.
And two of the current commissioners voted to go ahead and issue a permit, even though the discrepancies had not been resolved. And, we need to make sure that, if they have issues, they need to get them fixed in a timely manner.
Okay. Yes. No, yeah, I understand. That's certainly, yes, you could see where that would be a pertinent thing. Do you see where some of these agencies need more overlap, need to work together? I've always looked at all these agencies that have conservation programs, and I just shake my head because they, like TCEQ, would not the Railroad Commission have a very close relationship with TCEQ?
You would think, but just like on the water quality for releasing into the ecosystem.
Yeah.
The premise, the requirements from Railroad Commission TCEQ there's a broad range in there. And, I'll just go ahead and tell you, I'm working with several precinct chairs and county chairs to draft another resolution. I think so. The Railroad Commission is the state's permitting regulatory oversight agency for the oil and gas pipeline and mining industries. Has absolutely nothing to do with the rail anymore since 2005.
Right.
And, we're working on a resolution that would change the name of the Railroad Commission to Texas Department of Energy and Natural Resources.
Mm-hmm.
And then it would maintain the three commissioners on top. But then we would, we're trying to roll in TCEQ, PUC, and Texas Water Development Board, all these others that have to do with the natural resources and energy, and get them all under one umbrella so we can cut out some of the bureaucracy and make it more of a
right, streamline it.
Network, if you will.
Put everybody in the same room and streamline the decision making.
Exactly.
All right. James, we're out of time, but man, I really appreciate you visiting with us this morning.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity.
All right. Well, thanks, sir. All right. Tell you what, folks, I hope y'all enjoyed this morning. Maybe learned a little bit. Know there's people out there. With the right stuff in their heart trying to fix stuff. So, all right. This weekend's edition was also brought to us by Shaw's Bend Social Club, country club folks who don't have a country club. Now, go out, enjoy the weekend, have a lot of fun, be safe, and y'all just remember, pretty much any day is sure a good day to be out in the woods.